So the past week or so, I've been hanging out in Acts chapter 11 and doing some teaching on it, and I come across this experience that Barnabas had, where he was sent to check out what was happening with a revival in the city of Antioch. And so basically there was a shift taking place in the church. There was going to be a major shift. The gospel was no longer just spreading among the Jewish people, it was rapidly spreading among Gentiles. And the Jewish people up to this point had just been targeting and spreading the gospel among other Jews. So Jewish Christians were trying to reach other Jews who were still caught up in the Mosaic law and didn't accept Jesus as the Messiah. So like the gospel starts moving into Antioch, and it's moving beyond the Jewish people, it's moving to the Gentiles. And so they want to check it out. So the Jerusalem church sends Barnabas to Antioch. And it says that so when he got there, he saw the evidence of the grace of God, and he was glad. And then he encouraged them. And man, that's been helpful to me to think about, because it's so easy for us to see good news in others and be mad, not glad. The reason we're mad is we're mad because maybe something's happening for them that we wish were happening for us. I see this in my kids a lot. I see it in myself a lot. Just like for me, so I'm 49 years old, been in ministry since I was 22. Spent all of my time in ministry at two churches, one being in Oklahoma for 15 years, 11 years as the pastor, and just incredible move of the Lord there. Like the Lord was moving, people were getting saved, people were professing Christ, getting traction in their lives. We were baptizing. We baptized 14, 15, 20 people on a Sunday, and it was absolutely thrilling. And so to be a part of a movement like that is it's incredibly encouraging. And so now I'm not at that church. I moved to Overland Park to take a dead church and try to resurrect it and bring life to it. And so I've been digging away at that for 7 years now, going on 8. And I thought, man, I would just come here and the same thing would happen. But as I look back on that, I realized, man, that was a special move of the Lord. I'm doing a lot of the same things that I was doing back at that other church, and there was just a special blessing of the Lord. And I believe that blessing is going to happen again, but it certainly hasn't happened as fast as what I was expecting that it was going to happen. And so I've got a lot of friends in ministry, and so they're at churches where there is a movement of the Lord. So I'm just being real authentic and transparent with you. And so over the 8-year period, man, I'm trying to dig a workout, trying to get this church, to break through some barriers, to move from starting with about 25 people to really honestly get past 150 has been harder than taking the church that I had from 250 to 300 up to 5, 6, 700. That was easier. And so you see these posts, man, the guy might post is 15 baptisms today. And you're just I wish I could get 15 extra people to come to church. And so you have to really look internally and go, what am I doing here? What's going on inside of me? And I have to check myself, because it's so easy to jump in and not be glad. That's evidence of the grace of God. Now, that's on a ministry level. Well, this happens for us everywhere. We can come in and somebody can share the good news about anything going on in their lives. And it's easy to have a critical spirit. It's much more difficult to have a critical spirit with people that are further removed from us. So let's say somebody walks in and I know them at church, I'm their pastor, and they say, hey, such and such happened. And it's very easy for me to celebrate. Man, that's amazing. And so it might be somebody in our social network that we're not as close to. It's easier for us to celebrate the good news in their lives. But then we come back to a friendship, and we might have a friendship where we're a little bit more intimate with them, and they come and share the good news. And we hear the good news, and we're like, yeah, but then we move even closer. Let's move into the family. Now we're in the kitchen, and the wife or your husband may come home and share some good news, and it's easy to be critical. It's easy to be critical with your kids. It's easy to start poking holes in things. And I think, man, we do a lot of damage to relationships when we do that. So this has been a real encouraging thing for me, is to go, man, I want to be a person who is like Barnabas. Like, I want to, when somebody comes in and they bring good news, whatever it is, I want to be glad. And I want to say, like, so what I'm finding in this verse is kind of catchy. In the New International Version, it says, and when he saw the evidence of the grace of God, he was glad. It doesn't say when he saw the evidence of the grace of God, he was mad. So I would encourage you, hopefully it's helpful to you as it's been to me. Like, when you're listening to any kind of good news, whether it's significant or something on a smaller scale, are you a person when you hear it that you get glad or you get mad? Because if you're getting mad, all you're doing is giving the enemy fodder for being divisive in the relationship that you have with somebody. And instead of it being able to go deeper, it becomes more shallow and creates distance. So this week, as you're hearing the good news, don't get mad, get glad.